My name is Sweet Fang from PwC. So, we were looking at the slide this afternoon, and we said that 50% of your talent is going to come from Gen Y. Now, if I look around this room, I would say 80% of the people are baby boomers, and I've invited some of the Gen Ys here today. So I guess, being engaged with Gen Y is very important. So 3 of you are probably baby boomers, I think, or Gen X. I'll say Gen X, okay? Maybe Sarah, all right. As leaders, as CEOs of your company, how engaged are you really, and I mean truly engaged with the Gen Y, number one? And what's your experience been? What is the one thing that you really admire, the trait in them, and the converse of that? What's the one thing you really dislike about the Gen Ys that you've engaged?
Rajiv, can I just start with you first, and
sure.
then I'll move on?
Again, I have a different view. I believe this hype and talk about Gen Y being very, very different from other generations is overdone. I make a living out of studying human behavior and leadership. That's all I know how to do. And I have found that every generation, the 2 generations before them, we say the same things about the young generation. We say that, kids these days, they don't get it. They want everything very quickly. They want everything here and now. They don't want to work hard. They don't have the work ethic that our parents had. Guess what? My parents said that about me when I was 12 or 15 or 18, and grandparents said that about them. I think that coming back to your point about leadership, talent, I think when it comes to employees giving their 110% to a job, what they expect from their leaders does not change east to west. What I want from my boss, in order for me to be 110% engaged, is the same thing that I want in America, in Latin America, in Tokyo, Japan, or in Malaysia. So leadership is not different. The way we treat Gen Y should not be any different because their expectations are not different. People want certain leadership behaviors from people in order to be fully energized. Yes, of course, Alexander the Great's soldiers did not have iPhones and Blackberries, so the context may be a little bit different, but what they really want from their superiors in order to give their 110% is exactly the same. And that's why I agree with you, which is it comes down to leadership. And also the point that was made earlier, this top-down approach in Malaysia is the number one problem in Malaysia. If we do not tackle that issue, we are not going to get the best out of Gen Y, we're not going to get the best out of people. We will keep 40% of the Singaporean civil service is run by Malaysians, as John said. We will continue to lose our best people. Okay.
But you can't escape the fact that essentially, for example, lifetime jobs has gone out the window, I guess, as far as the Gen Y is concerned. How do we accommodate for that kind of like much more a different expectation in terms of job? I'll do this. Jobs are like projects. They're not, I'll do a project with Axiata. I'll do a project with McDonald's, and then I'll move on to other things. How do you accommodate for that? Dr. Jamal, do you see this trend coming in, that people are following their passions and,
The answer is yes. In fact, relating back to the question, what I like about them, first, Gen Y is affecting our industry profoundly, both as employees, also as our customers. Our customers driving this business actually, no longer the old folks and the younger folks, the young folks. It's more of this Gen Y in terms of smartphone and so on and so forth. So they do affect our industry. And what I like about them, because they are very creative, they tend to be more experimental, and they can, they are willing to do a lot of things. What I don't like about them is exactly what you said, is the concept of loyalty is no longer there. It makes it a lot tougher from a talent management and development. You spend so much, and tomorrow they think, thank you very much, I'm going off already to the next company. Because they tend to take more risks. Good and bad, right? They tend to make more risks, which is good, but unfortunately they rather move to the next company and try to explore different things because they are very mobile and very exploratory.
Yeah, so both positives and,
positive and negative,
must be frustrating, right? You train and so on, you designate them as the chosen ones, right, and then they go like, whew, go off to your competitors. Sorry, go on.
Make a point there. Again, I think what Dr. Nicholas was saying is spot on, which is it's the environment that you create. The fact that the Gen Ys are more transient today than we were is not a function because Gen Y is different. It's because that's the way the world is today. Do we offer as companies lifetime employment today? No, we don't. So how can you expect Gen Ys to be having a lifetime employment that I will join your company and I will never leave? It's because we fire at will. So what do we expect them to do? Today we live in a different world in that sense. And I think it boils down to you have to hold on to your people by creating the right environment, by giving them opportunities, and by not treating them as inferior citizens and this, that, and the other. And first of all, let's eliminate those biases that we have about them. Then we can talk about, can we retain them or not as companies.
But it must be frustrating for someone sitting on this side of the room, listening to you, right? And going, yes, I'm doing my best to create the right environment. I've tried to convince them of them they're working in the right environment, yet they want to explore the world and they just go. I mean, it sounds nice, but he's doing his best. Doc is doing his best.
So the question is
Yeah.
So the question is then, if we know that they want to explore globally or they want new opportunities, then how can we give that to them? So I work for a unique company in that we're in 119 countries around the world. And every kitchen is built the same way, no matter what country we're in. So how can we leverage that as a company to give Gen Ys opportunities so that they'll become more engaged with McDonald's, right? Or how can we even do it just within Malaysia? So, in traditional, you spend, so Japan, okay? Well, if you interview a Japanese person and you say, okay, what do you want to be doing in 10 years? They're going to say, well, I was promoted 2 years ago and I got to do this job for 3 years and then I'll get promoted again. And then that'll be 3 years and then they count it up and they go, I'll be at this position. Gen Ys, if they have the ability to grow faster, we need to foster that. We need to skip over all the bureaucracy and everything we have and say, you know what? You could probably go do this job here. And that's what will keep them engaged and excited, I think. So a different approach, a different engagement approach.
All right. Zamir, you're Gen Y, right? What do you think about the comments out here? Would you work for Axiata?
No, because I'm in Teach Malaysia right now. So
I know, but hypothetically.
Hypothetically, I would actually.
Okay, why?
Because I've checked out the job opportunities. They're really pushing this whole Axiata as a regional company. Trying out new things, moving them around as well. I was really attracted to that. If I wasn't caught up by PwC, first of all, I would have gone to Axiata or maybe Maxis even, because they're both competing really tough for talent. But I was thinking about the opportunity, like the fact that they are moving around, we can only do our best, and we got to just plan for that in the sense that resources. From Teach Malaysia's point of view, I'm only planning for people to be in the organization for 4 years at the most. And I got to move around that, and I got to incorporate Goldman Sachs' ability in terms of maybe I can't afford 2 times the amount yet. I probably got to factor in probably 1.1%, like extra 10% to manage for that people moving around. So,
okay. Right. Do you find a significant difference between the approach, attitudes, working attitudes of your peers versus that of older peers, people in the 30s, maybe in their 40s, for example?
Yes, and building on the fact that what Sarah mentioned, on the fact that they want it fast, they want it quick, they want it now. So it's really when you communicate that message, and I'm also seeing this now to the people that I've hired, who say, I want to be promoted to an assistant manager in 1 year. But you're just like, whoa. It's not about the tenure, but it's about the ability. So you got to give them the ability and the opportunity as well to prove their ability. And I remember asking that from my managers in PwC when I was there as well, like, why can't I move up fast and all? But it's about the communication style and how you frame the development. So writing emails on a daily basis is actually, hey, there's a lot of communication skills that you can learn from this, and this is how you improve. So some managers did that very well for me, and some managers did that extremely well. And I picked up on that and saw a clear path moving forward.
Okay, all right.